we really need to talk about Jesse Mintor going to the Baltimore Ravens, because that is the youngest defensive coordinator on the market outside of Chris Shula. But Jesse Mintor is heralded as the best defensive mind. I know other names have been brought up like Brian Flores, but I think once we got the news that Brian Flores reached a contract extension with the Vikings, it felt like he wasn't going to be a head coach for the Ravens, and maybe he might not get a head coaching job this cycle. But Jesse Mintor to the Ravens wasn't an offensive mind for Lamar Jackson. They're going a defensive route. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think this is perfect. When we did the initial predictions or whatever it might have been earlier this offseason, I felt like if you have an elite quarterback, I feel the same way about Buffalo. You just need an offensive play caller that's fine to above average. Like, I don't think Todd Monken is special, but since you have Lamar Jackson, you're going to have a top offense when he's healthy. Josh has had Joe Brady. He's had Ken Dorsey. He's had Dable back in the day, right? He's had different offensive coordinators, and basically every year the Bills are putting up top offenses. So when you have that level of quarterback, I think the offense is good as long as you don't have a disaster. You don't hire Nathaniel Hackett, unnecessary stray. But Jesse Mintor was the best defensive mind out there, and that's exactly what Baltimore needs. The best team that they had was in 2023 when we lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, he said we for sure.
No, you said
we. It's all right.
I was trying to sneak that in there. When that game happened,
about the Lamar through the interception.
It wasn't on the defense. Game wasn't on the defense. Game was on Lamar Jackson.
There was an uncalled pass interference on the play.
Oh, what the fuck?
The game wasn't his fault.
That's the best team that they've had in the Lamar era, right? It's one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time. And I think that's the best version of Baltimore you're going to get, where you can just uplift this defense that has some pieces, but it's not overwhelming with talent that you're trying out, like a Philly team, for example, with all pros everywhere. But if you can get a coach that can take them from being good to make them being great or average to good, I think that's really what Jesse Mintor brings. Of course, he was coaching in Baltimore earlier in his career. He was coaching in Michigan under Mike McDonald. They have connections as well. And he took over Brandon Staley's defense. Like, it took me... Honestly, when I was thinking, I was like, who was the coach before Jim Harbaugh? I was like, why am I blanking on his name? I was like, oh, Brandon Staley. When they had the last ranked defense before he got fired, and in year one, they turned it around, and basically back-to-back years, they've been top 10 defenses at worst. It was night and day, and it's not like they had this infusion of talent. A lot of it was rookies, which I'm sure he was helping communicate with the front office, since he had ties to college very shortly before. So I think it's just an A+ signing. I don't think you could have had a better candidate for this job. It's now I'm interested to see who they hire at offensive coordinator, right? Because his ties are like, is he take someone from the Chargers, right? Does he have any connections with Mike McDonald over in Seattle?
A good name. I hope he gets Kevin Patullo.
I don't think he's gonna hire Kevin Patullo, but will he go with someone experienced, or will he go with someone younger who hasn't proven himself? Yeah, that's what I'm really interested in next.
You think Kubiak is not gonna?
He won't change for same position.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, but would you change for Lamar Jackson?
I think he's good.
I would contemplate.
You wouldn't change for potentially being 2 games away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they're too good.
Fair point. I think this is a great move. Obviously, you look at the success that the Chargers had this season on the defensive side of the ball. That was their most consistent side of the ball by far. Top 6 in EPA per play, top 5 in success rate, top 5 in success rate for drop back and rush defense. Jesse Mintor, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with the offensive coordinator. Like you mentioned, that was very well put, but we know he's going to bring a great mentality for the defense. You needed to choose an identity, and they went with defense. To me, I like this move. I don't love this move because you should have moved on to Mike McDonald. And now McDonald's over there in Seattle, and yes, they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And we see the difference he's made on the defensive side, where they've gone from 28th to now the best defense in the league in Seattle. And when he was with the Ravens, we knew the impact that he had. But now Jesse Mintor comes to the building. You try and get that identity back. You definitely do have some great personnel. Like him and Kyle Hamilton are going to immediately become best friends. Kyle Hamilton, we know the impact player that he is on the defensive side of the ball. And hopefully Matabike comes back next season fully healthy, and that gives them a boost on the run side of things. But the offense, that's where I really have my last question for them is, who are you going to come in to call plays for Lamar Jackson? But other than that, really strong move.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you watch this Baltimore Ravens defense kind of fall off a cliff this year for the most part. They struggled earlier on in the year, but then they had like a nice little stretch in the middle. They did have a nice stretch. But they played some really good football. But you look at that team, Roquan Smith has clearly regressed. Marlon Humphreys, my goodness.
He's old.
He's going to get cut probably.
He's regressed. Like this defense has youth a little bit. You know, like you mentioned, Kyle Hamilton, Wiggins, and they drafted 2 guys, Green and Starks, last season. So they have some youth going their way. But like you mentioned, Matabuke is coming back from a neck injury, if I'm not mistaken.
And he had a season-ending injury.
And the injuries, like, I don't know if it's guaranteed he's coming back next year. It's one of those that
could be done.
It's a neck injury.
I don't know.
Man.
I just remember when it first came out that it was like, it's not a normal injury.
Oh man, that sucks to hear.
I'll see if there's an update.
Yeah, and it is because he's one of their best defensive players.
For sure.
So I think this team is. We'll see because I feel like you mentioned, Dels, and you highlighted something really important. I feel like Baltimore's identity has always been ran by the defense. Even when they had that home game against the Chiefs, you saw how the defensive players came out there and the type of impact they tried to build with the fans and stuff like that. I feel like that they remind me of how the Detroit Pistons are, with their defense, how gritty and nasty and disgusting it can be. That bulldoze, strong mentality type of defense. So I think that's where they need to go back to their roots. And you're right. Like when you have a guy in Lamar Jackson who is a playmaker with his legs and with his arms, can make any throw on the field, can extend plays, is quick, agile, fast. He has all of that in his game. I feel like you don't need too much on offense. I feel like an offensive coordinator just has to be good. You continue to build up the weapons. I still think Derrick Henry has a year or 2 left in him.
100%.
You got Zay Flowers and stuff like that. I would like to get them more piece on the outside, and we'll see how likely looks. And then Mark Andrews, how is that situation going to unfold? But I think the defense, Jesse Mintor bringing him in, it's good. It's a good start, and I do like it.
This has been the best coaching hire this cycle. Jesse Mintor is a defensive genius. He's the protege of Mike Macdonald. They have ties together dating back to Michigan. He used to be on John Harbaugh's staff with the Ravens. And Jesse Mintor, I think from a schematic standpoint and what he offers defensively in his scheme, there are no question marks. He's one of the best in the business. The Chargers haven't had an elite level pass rush these past 2 years. This season, they finished 16th in pass rush win rate. They were much better than last year, they were 22nd in pass rush win rate. Not having a consistent pass rush, and in his first year, they were first in points allowed. This past season, they were 9th in points allowed, and they have ranked in the top 12 in terms of yards allowed over the last 2 seasons with inconsistent pass rush, a secondary made up of late round picks like Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart, who are awesome, but you also got them later in the draft. That's incredible value. And somebody like Dante Jackson came into this defense coming from Pittsburgh last year struggling and had a career season. Jesse Mintor knows how to get the most out of his players. And the Ravens have 3 players at each level that are phenomenal. Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, and then they have Matabuke and Travis Jones. Travis Jones is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, and he's huge for that defense. Their defense is going to go back to being one of the best in the NFL. I didn't even mention their other up-and-coming talent, Nate Wiggins, Malachi Starks. These are all people who can change a game and can develop into those high-level starter caliber and consistent players that this defense needs. I think when you have an elite quarterback, the offense coordinator, I think they'll be fine. Lamar Jackson can run in any offense. He could make any throw. He will be fine. They will have an amazing offense once again. But you need to be able to get stops in the postseason. If your quarterback, if you expect him to play at the level that you know he can play at, then the defense is what matters in getting those crucial stops in the playoffs. And I think Jesse Mintor offers that. It's still a TBD if he will be a great leader, because that's something Mike Macdonald showed with the Seahawks. He's not only a great defensive mind, he's not even calling the plays for Seattle, though. He has a defensive coordinator do it, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a tremendous leader, and he has brought in good people like Clint Kubiak into the building to maximize that offense. He was somebody that was hyper aware of the weaknesses of the team and where it needed to improve. And Jesse Mintor is still a TBD if he can do that. But from a football mind, he was the best guy available this cycle, and he's going to be phenomenal for the Ravens.
I'm with you. I was either between him and Flores, but getting Mintor, to me, best available defensive mind that there was, this is a home run.
So what do you